Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Immortality Season 6 Episode 22 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. The thief of the 40th thief in the overseas monk community, abandoning the thief, mysterious and incomparable, the mana is even more powerful. It has long been rumored that the thief must cultivate to the longevity secret, and then open up a fairy martial art, and Fang Han is from the feather. The secret message inside the door learned that there is fear of Protoss support behind this thief. However, this abandoned thief is called a name no one knows. However, with intuition, Fang Han's heart flashed, and I knew that the mysterious woman, Fan Qingying, who ranked first in the Eternal Life alternate list, should be the legendary first thief. Because the top 10 people on this list have their own sects. Only this first sect was born unknown, not the 40 thieves first and who. And Fang Han also had enmity with the 40 thieves, directly killing the third-ranked, stolen thief, and star thief, and even refining their Jin Dan. This is the number 1, abandoned thief, who does not come to kill him. Moreover, he has now cultivated the fate of the 90 kinds of magical powers. The tree of the world is rolling with the support of the celestial world. When you wave between the waves, you can't describe it. The vastness can't describe it. When the idler comes to kill him, he can wave his hand. Destroy the enemy into a powder, and only the top 10 in the longevity list will be able to give him a fatal blow. Laugh. The sword broke through the sky. The assassination of this sword, riding him and the smoke and water a hard fight, the mana scattered, the function is not working. Suddenly shot, the eagle hit, pointing to his weakness, began to silent, but locked in the cold at the moment. It's sharp and violent, and the swords are smashing between the heavens and the earth. However, just as the sword was assassinated, Fang Han had no time to resist it. Behind the door of our NAO, a huge dragon claw was extended. This dragon claw, full of the size of the house, exudes an extremely strong pure yang. The scales are even more embarrassing, 5 fingers like a column, nails sharp, and then resisted in front of Jianguang. It is. Since absorbed the dragon's bones, it has become a true body, a powerful mana, and a hard body. The Qianlong skeleton was further hurricated by 9 days. After the Red Emperor's fire was condensed, all the impurities were forged. The King of Blood Knights is not killing. Now that Fang Han is in danger, he immediately comes out to protect the Lord. His dragon claws were found to be arrested, but it was a magical power. Between the claws, there are sacred magic sounds of the magic door, which are mixed with countless sound dragons, shocking the world. The air flow on all sides is first twisted, then collapsed, and then inflated. With the current strength after refining the Taiji Qianlong skeleton, the bridge of Naiha was opened. Although Huang Quantu could not compete with the ancient giants of the longevity secret, it was enough to rival any supernatural master. If its strength is further, open the most vivid, most horrible, and most inscrutable reincarnation in the Huangquan map, then it can really suppress the ancient giants and counter the human imperial pen and the emperor mirror, these treasures. Dragon claws, sword shadow, colliding in the air. Immediately, the light and shadow flew, the claws of the cockroaches shrank and shrunk, the nails changed many handprints, preventing the sharp swords from cutting off their claws, and the sword light from the spurs swayed slightly, immediately swaying. The article Qingying assassinated on the body. The body trembled, his eyes opened, and he saw incredulously the scales on his body, and the pieces were picked up by the sword, almost showing the bones. Great Thunder Sword. He seems to have clearly understood the sword. The body is shaking, the door of the nose, the bridge of the 2 bridges in its hands, the display of the gods, compared to Fang Han does not know how much. After all, it is Huang Quan to dominate. The quaint stone bridge, the stone bridge contaminated with the blood of the gods, traversed in the air, and it was like a dragon. Then, on both sides of the stone bridge, one after another, the door of the nose was opened, and the sky was magical. Rolling out, covering the sky for 100 miles, and hiding it in it, it is really, the dragon is not seeing the tail. In the twinkling of an eye, you will use the power of Huang Quantu to the extreme, and fight with the sword of Qing Fang. This group stabbed Fang Han's sword and shadow, but did not speak. Suddenly, it was turned into a cyan female monk shadow. The back of the brain was clear and the face was vague, but the body exudes a burst of emptiness. Broken power, a sword in her palm, suddenly shaking. Oh! Suddenly, all sides of the void burst open, and there are countless thunderstorms. This thunder is not the thunder and lightning in the sky, but a chaotic atmosphere. The faintly conveyed inside is a shock, like a world. Among them, great chaos lay far. The body trembled and was shocked. It was about to be far away, but it was late. Countless big bangs exploded, and the heavens and the earth seemed to become a chaotic color, and the powerful scent of the nose was all blasted. The bridge of the bridge was slammed on all sides, like a boat in a storm. The dragon scales on the body were flying, and a lot of flesh and blood were blown up behind them, showing the white bones of the forest. If its skeleton is the archaic dragon, it is almost equivalent to the undead body, and the bones are also blown up. Shrink! I know that I am not the opponent of this woman. This legendary chaotic Lefar is the source of the thunder in the thunder, the source of the thunder, the power, and the doomsday disaster, 5 emperors. I have not yet cultivated to the body of immortality, hard to remember, the body is broken, and I don't know how much pure yang to recover. Its body shrinks, no matter the door of the nose, the bridge of the bridge, disappears, there is only one scroll in the air, then the body of the Huangquan map. No matter how many gods thunder bombing on the Huangquan map, there is no use. The essence of this picture is a perfect weapon, not so easy to destroy. I am shrinking. However, his use of this exhibition has one valuable breathing time for Fang Han. Today, I am afraid that it is difficult to end. One smoke, I can't clean it up. Actually, I have come to a Van Gogh shadow. The 2 killed me and I used the means of the sky, it is hard to continue. At this time, it is better. At this point, Fang Han finally suppressed the chaotic blood, the mana of the tumbling, and took a breath, and stretched his hand, grabbed the yellow spring figure in the air, and the golden Dan on the top of the head shone, and suddenly surrounded by the raging the chaos Leifa, all collapsed under the illumination of Jindan Guanghua, without a trace. Ha 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 ha, I can't think of it, the first and second existence on the list of longevity candidates, come to kill me a master of Jindan. Take me as the eternal giant of the growth and development of the mystery? You 2 kill me, win the battle. Single pair single, I am happy to accompany you. But today I am going to rush to give my birthday to Linglong Shenzhen, and I will not accompany you. Fang Han ha ha? Laughed, a large sleeve, a body like a dragon, rising up, few ups and downs, moving instantly, they will break out of the encirclement, to get out of trouble. Although he is powerful, but in the face of the 2 masters around the killing, the long life secrets of the ancient giant I am afraid to be unpredictable, and is it? Before the scene of absolute failure, Fang Han would not have the slightest reluctance to say that he would leave. Although it is not the opponent of the 2, it is always possible to escape. With Fang Han's current cultivation, the Van Gogh giant who wants to escape and save his name and the longevity secret is really difficult to kill him. And at this time, Fang Han escaped, without a little psychological shadow. 2 people kill themselves, don't run, don't you still die? Want to run? The smoked water seems to be prepared as early as possible. When he and the vanishing shadow were in a lightning-like manner, they mobilized their hands, and a handkerchief-like magic weapon flew out and turned into a cloud of smoke. Covered in all directions. This is a great treasure, called Wanli Cloud. Just when Fang Han wanted to run, the Wanli Cloud barrier suddenly started rolling white clouds, forming a cloud wall, actually blocking Fang Han. Give me a crack. Fang Han did not hesitate, grabbed his hands and directly tore the rolling cloud wall. It was like a broken bamboo. The Wanli Cloud barrier immediately turned into a handkerchief, but the middle was broken, and this piece of treasure was already ruined. Fang Han actually waved between the hands and destroyed this unique treasure. Now, his power can even hurt the lower grades. The treasures like the 5 prisoners can explode with a punch. Once the Wanli Cloud barrier was destroyed, the smoke and water did not have a bit of heartache. It seemed to be abandoning a magic weapon, blocking the cold and the moment and winning the opportunity to prevent her from running away. Hey! Sure enough, when Fang Han waved and destroyed the Wanli Cloud barrier, he paused. What kind of master is the smoke? directly caught the floors. Among the gods of the sea, a slight rotation suddenly burst out of tens of thousands of swords. These swords are all a forming sword of a mouthful. Each sword is like a pair of autumn water, cream, cold and incomparable, like a magical crystal refining. When Fang Han looked at it, he knew that each of these mouths was an extremely powerful baby. The essence of water was refined and tens of thousands of mouths. I don't know how long it took to sacrifice. In the moment when the sword flew out, among the gods of the sea, there was a picture of flying, and there were countless female fairy shadows holding swords. Each female fairy had different faces, like Lingbo fairy. Tens of thousands of swords, one fell into the picture. Those swords in the palm of the Lingbo fairy are vivid, and then spread out, suddenly trapped Fang Han in the middle. This is an extremely powerful sword array. Lingbo Wanxian ** sword array. Those tens of thousands of swords, each of which is 1,000 years of cold iron elite, plus 1 tone soft crystal, using 9 days of hurricane, Xian Bing real water hard work, smoke. There is no possibility to make 1,000,000 swords even if it is a giant. It will take thousands of years. This is the legacy of the water god. Hey! Fang Han was trapped in this sword array, suddenly stunned. White clouds, countless female singers with ** swords appeared, and sent him a powerful sword. The smoke and water, the body moved, also entered the Lingbo Wanxian ** sword array. As for the murder of Fang Han's Fan Qing shadow, he has not spoken, his body has moved, the clear light has melted, and he has entered the sword array. It seems that he must cooperate with the killing of Fang Han. A female fairy, holding a ** sword suddenly assassinated to Fang Han. The power is almost the fifth most important in the mysterious secret. The master of the heaven and the human world condensed the 5 elements of energy, refining the existence of a large array. Fang Han fingered a bullet. This female fairy was shocked by a vast force into a group of powder. Fang Han does have this ability to kill the magical 5 masters between the fingers. However, after the female fairy was turned into a powder, the sword suddenly swayed, and all the swords in the sword array fluctuated together. Immediately, Fang Han felt that the devastating power used by his finger was divided equally by all the swords, so the strength of this sword was very small, and it was slammed into the map. ** fencing. At this moment, thousands of female phantoms flew out in the clouds, holding ** swords, urging swords and attacking Fang Han. Suddenly flying swords like rain, such as hail, swords rushing, a mountain of swords, a world of swords, completely enveloped Fang Han. The huge swordsmanship is much more powerful than Meng Xiaobai's innocent murder, and the invisible sword array of the 4 princes. Of course, what kind of person is the smoke? The first true disciple of Taiyiman, the reincarnation of the ** of water, and the battle between Meng Xiaobai and Yi Prince can completely suppress them. Once the smoke and water has been cultivated into the longevity secret, it has become the giant of the ancient times, and the identity is the deputy teaching of Tai. The rule of the true disciple of Taiyiman is like this. The same is true of the rules of the Feather Gate. The true disciple, who has cultivated into the longevity secret, has become a giant of the ages, that is, deputy master, not an elder, just waiting for the supreme retreat. You can be on the big post. Hua Qian's wishful thinking is like this. Jianshan, Jianhai, Jianlin, Jianchao. There is no word to describe the number of flying swords encountered by Fang Han at this time. At this moment, he almost has the feeling of facing several Megatron fairy devils, the dusty sword array of the heavens and the world, the sun and moon sword array, and the Tongqian sword array. Immediately, Fang Han did not hesitate to suspend his golden dragon on the top of his head. The 5 emperors in the deep core opened, and the evil spirits did not invade. Subsequently, he grabbed both hands, one after another, dark and empty, appeared in the whole body. It is big swallowing, want to swallow these flying swords, and then use white emperor, golden emperor, black emperor, boxing, refining. These * swords are cold iron, refining and refining, borrowing gold and water, and the golden water is stirring. If all of them are swallowed up, his black emperor Shui Huangquan and Baidi golden emperor will have to make great progress once again. Of course, the most ideal thing is to swallow the sea of pearls. then the benefits are no less than the Qing Emperor Wang Huanggong, who got the aura of the world. Jianshan, Jianhai, Jianchao, Jianlin. The massive swordsman met the pharyngeal technique of Fang Han, and was immediately swallowed up and involved in the black hole. Fang Hani is about to refine it. This huge sword array immediately began to work. The world is repeated, the space is reversed. All the flying swords that were swallowed were shaken by swords, and they conveyed a strong blessing to them. At the same time, they suddenly broke away from the oppression of the big phagocytosis, flew out and reconstituted the sword array. Cold assassination. Thousands of flying swords, fairy smothered on the cover of the 5 Emperors of Fang Han. The Huagai was constantly rotated and Mars broke out. In the middle of this array, it is actually the suppression of the gods in the sea. It is no wonder that I can't swallow these flying swords. Fang Han's eyes flashed, and suddenly he saw the center of the map. Among the gods of the sea, the figure of the smoke keep turning, and shoot one after another. In the depths of the map, a clear shadow walked around. It seems to be Vatican Qingyin, suddenly flying out, a sword killed on his own 5 emperors. Hey! The sword conveyed the Great Chaos Leifa, which directly stopped the Fengxi's 5 emperors' cap, and cracked on it. What? Fang Han was shocked, and the 5 emperors were actually cracked. This is nothing that has never happened before. The 5 emperors of the Great Devil ordered the demons, suppressed the 5 elements and 10 parties, and thought they were invincible. After the refining, Fang Han never encountered any danger, relying on this magical power to kill the gods and demons. It is now being cracked by a sword. Although not completely broken. But it is also extremely dangerous. 8. Buddhism. In desperation, Fang Han sacrificed his own new magic weapon, the 8 floats. A pagoda, 8 magic weapons, the magical symbols of the 5 elements of the land, spinning on it only a moment, it reached the top of the Vatican Qingyin, suppressed. Hey! This 8-headed boy, although not a Taoist, is surprisingly powerful. After a crackdown, the Qingguang town, which was incarnate by the Vanqing shadow, was pressed, and the spirits of the 5 elements were flashing. In a moment, Fang Han felt the magical character and communicated the 5 elements. In his mind, the planet of the 5 elements is constantly turning, and the power of the majestic 5 elements is conveyed from the spirits, and his 5 emperors are repaired. The magical symbols of the land of the 5 elements are so wonderful. It seems that I will use the great Urdu Zen light to sing the day. Fang Han's heart is overjoyed. He knows that the spirit of the 5 elements is definitely a great treasure. It's just that I don't know how to practice Buddhism, I'm not able to sacrifice, and I can't play the power. Now I've got the practice of Da Buddhism Guang, and I have developed all kinds of magical powers. Van Ho's shadow was stunned, and suddenly his body suffocated, showing the true form. It is a woman dressed in Xingyi. She has a clear aperture behind her head and her face is pure. It seems to be the purest in the world, but the only thing that destroys her image is that her eyes are empty, and there is no eyeball. It seems to be a blind man. And she was silent, it seemed to be a dumb, she could not hear any voice, it was a blind man. Pure clear woman, smashed eyes, dumb, scorpion. I can't see any scenery, I can't say anything, I can't hear anything. Born to her a pure face, but did not show her the power of the world, speaking, listening to the sound. Fang Han can even feel that the loneliness of this woman's heart, such as the Dead Sea, is always a light look. It gives people a wonderful feeling in their hearts. They both sympathize with this woman's experience, but they also have a respect for this woman. Fang Han is a psychological horror. This woman has no eyes, deafness, and hoarseness. She has cultivated to this point. She must break through the longevity secret. How strong is that? How is this woman's mind determined? No wonder this woman's nickname is called Abandoning the Thief, and she was abandoned. A sorrowful anger, grievances, and achievements. Seeing this prostitute, Fang Han felt that even if he was singled out with this woman alone, he might not be able to defeat this woman and seize the position of the first secret of the magical power. It was suppressed by the 8 Buddhism, pure and incomparable, and there was no expression on the face of Vanqing Shadow, with his eyes full of eyes. A sword in the palm of his hand was thorned upwards, and the endless infinite chaos Leifa rotated the four sides of the tower. Only one time, it shocked the pagoda, the shape of the body changed, and the tip of the sword pointed to the numerous cold spots in the square. The blind woman, Vanqing Shadow, is assassinated. Fang Han feels that even if he is physically strong, if he is stabbed, he will have to disintegrate. The sword in this female palm is no less than the disc of Huatiandu. Wu Shunjian. I don't know what the device is. The big chaotic mine is the one that broke out on this sword, and it can actually break the 5 emperors. The 2 perverted women, chasing me to kill, have to put me to death. I have 2 fists and 4 hands, how to get out of the way? Could it be necessary to use the magical symbols of the 5 elements to drive to the 5 elements? The body shuttled, hitting a full 100,000 punches, and colliding with the Jianguang of the Fanqing Shadow, finally stopped the power of the woman's Jianguang. It seems to be aware of Fang Han's mind. Smoke 1 suddenly flew out of a charm and suddenly burned. Suddenly, the power of space in the stock market was shrouded in the sword array. Fang Han immediately felt that the surrounding space was blocked. The induction of the land of the 5 elements was temporarily cut off. This is the Yu Fu, it is the refinement of the Emperor Tatian, enough to block your 5 elements of the magical symbol for half an hour. Makes you unable to shape. You don't think that there is an ancient demon guarding you. You are only one of his grain chess. Now we are going to take the land of 5 elements and kill the ancient demon. I am still the original words, as long as you hand over the golden dan of our disciple, I can let you retreat. Between the words of the smoke and the water, it is necessary to let go of the meaning of Fang Han, but the hand is more hot. After burning the Yu Fu, the handle is a bullet, a green sword light, flew into the Jianguang. It is precisely the blood-water sword, the next quality device, actually integrated into the sword array. Suddenly the power of the entire sword array skyrocketed. Fang Han really lost all the qualifications to escape, and the charms of the 5 elements were blocked. This is obviously someone who is targeting myself. How can I calculate the Tai Huang Qian? Unexpectedly, this supreme figure counts himself and looks at his little character too much. Indeed, in the eyes of the Tai Huang Qian, the ancient giants of the longevity secrets are nothing. Perhaps only the exquisite fairy statue, Huang Quan, the ferocious figure, can get his eyes. Even the wind-white feathers, the star owners, and the emperor's heavens may not really pay attention. The blind woman, Vanqing Shadow, sword tip once again picks up, and smoke water 1 clips the cold. The big chaotic Leifa condenses into thousands of chaotic balls. The power is greater, the road is fried in the Fang Han on top of Jin Dan. The 5 emperors were blown up in glory. The attack of the 2 masters, Fang Han also cannot help. Only Jin Dan can be concentrated, and the power will be concise. At the same time, Wang Quantu, the magic knife and the blood will be smashed, and the 8 Buddhism pagodas will be sacrificed. Protect your body, fight for half an hour, and then walk away. The top-ranked and second-ranked masters kill themselves, and it's good to be able to protect themselves. These 2 women, with their own devices, can even kill the long-lived mysterious giants of the longevity, such as the Elders of Heavenly Penalty, caught in the treasure of 2 people, and they have to take off a layer of skin without death. Fang Han can support not to die, it is not bad. However, the attacks of the 2 women are getting more and more fierce, and Fang Han Jin Dan's radiance is getting more and more bleak. It seems that we must be desperate, otherwise we will not be able to escape the poisonous hands today. 2 perverted women, I will take it to a further level in the coming days, and I will definitely take down all of you, and surrender them to make a magic weapon. I will never be superborn. Supported by the cold, there were several times when the mana was scattered. If it was not supported by the Tree of the World, Jin Dan, who had been beaten, had broken down and suffered unexpected events. Although his golden Dan is powerful, he has 90 kinds of supernatural powers, but the tiger can't stand the wolves, not to mention the fact that each of the 2 women is equal to him. Especially the blind woman, Vatican Qingying, the strength is still above him, the palm of the name is an unknown sword, and the wave of the hand is bursting out of the endless, big chaos Leifa. This kind of attack is really horrible. No less than the end of the day. Natural disasters can blow everything into chaos. The 5 emperors of the 5 emperors of the great devils are hard to support. The smoke water one was trapped by the **1 sword array, and the C*** Shenju suppressed in the center of the map, so that he could not blow out the big array and go out. The power of the. What is even more powerful is that smoke water one also flies out of its own life law, natural disaster gods, from time to time, directly oppressing the power of the end of the natural disasters, so that the party is not as good as death. The scourge of the gods and the god of the sea are combined. The Yuanshan and the second gods are used interchangeably. One wave and one wave never stop, just like the waves hit the reef. One day, the reef will be hit. Smash. Hey! Another big chaotic Leifa killed on the top of Fang Han's head. The 5 emperors covered the vibration, and a sword in the vanguard palm of the hand swayed a million swords. Hard to pick the 8-headed buzzard, this pagoda. The sharp sword gas penetrated into the pagoda and killed 8 magic weapons to the inside. At the same time, the sword tip produced a force of pulling and sucking. It seemed that the pagoda was in the bag. This woman has already seen it. This pagoda is very wonderful, but it is not a Tao. There is no Yuanling, and the blood Buddha inside is not formed. If you break the prohibition inside, you can take it and get it in your pocket. Fang Han saw such a situation and was shocked. I don't want my own Jindan to be attacked. The blood of the knives is spinning at the fingertips, turning into thousands of blood-colored knives, intertwined into knives, and the hard-working collision of the blind female, vanishing shadow, sword, so as not to the other's sword. The gas really took away the baby of the 8 Buddhism. The blood-colored knives, the chaotic sword gas, collision, immediately all the knives were disintegrated by the sword. The King of Blood Knight was shocked and almost shattered. A good sword. You are still inferior to the quality of the road, and it has only been refining for more than a year. There is no way to compete with this kind of Taoist. I don't know what a sword in this female palm is, and it can make a big chaotic god. Now you can only combine your blood energy with the 8 floating sects. With your strength, these 8 sects will be transformed. You are the 8 Buddhism, and the 8 Buddhism is you. The sword of vanishing shadow broke through the ***** knife, and Fang Han immediately retreated, but at the moment of his defeat, he suddenly pointed to the top of the magic knife, and suddenly the knife was turned into thousands. The blood color symbol is entered into the top layer of the 8-headed buzzard, which is among the body of the blood-colored Buddha. Fang Han thought and didn't want to, the King of Blood Knight. Today you become a Buddha in the land and become a bloodless Buddha in the south. Thousands of ***** symbols of the incarnation of the King of Blood Knight entered the body of the ***** Buddha, booming. This big Buddha immediately condensed the formed body, the body swelled, the blood and the Buddha light shone to each other, and the sacredness revealed a secret. The face of the Buddha also showed the appearance of the King of Blood Knight. Of course, the appearance of King of Blood Knight is the appearance of Fang Han. This is Fang Han's use of the power of the King of Blood Knight, swallowed the ***** Buddha inside, making the blood scorpion and 8 bas-reliefs merge into one. The power is greatly increased. Originally, the blood dragon crystal peak was used to enhance the power of blood and the sky, but after Fang Hanxiu became Jindan, he wanted to sacrifice the 8 dragons to the dragon, and the yin and yang misplaced the 5 elements of the place, and changed it. A magic weapon that no one understands what it is. For this magic weapon, he has no grasp. In the end, he is not willing to take control of himself. He would not spend more time on it. If he has worked hard to sacrifice a little result, the baby suddenly flies away. I want to die. But today is too dangerous. He can't care much. He can only combine the King of Blood Knights and the blood and the Buddha into one, in an attempt to strengthen his strength and break through the encirclement. The ***** Buddha and the King of Blood Knights are merged, the powerful blood can flow to each other, and the 5 elements of the earth are flashing. In the end, there is a blood-blooded Buddha above the magic weapon of the 8-part fab. This big Buddha on the body, a piece of cockroaches on the batch is made up of the singularity of the 5 elements of the earth. The above 6 verses are constantly flowing, sitting at the top of the boy, and the handle is one. Grabbing, it is the ***** Buddha's big hand, catching down only one time, took the body of vanishing shadow, and took a glimpse of her great chaos Lefa. Good chance. Fang Han rarely encountered such an opportunity, opened his mouth, his own mana and the celestial spirits madly sprayed out, all injected into his own Jindan. Jindan was once again concentrated, brilliance, fierce shock, shrinking thousands of times, and then expanding. Directly smashing the natural disaster god of Yangshui, and then swallowing the whole swallowing technique, the bridge of the nose, the door of the nose is opened, such as the dragon snake fluttering, impacting the package of the layer of swords, reaching the edge of the big array. I am going out. However, just after arriving at the edge of the big squad, he saw a large array of flesh-colored columns. It stood around and sealed the voids. Not to mention that it was difficult to force them out. This is the power of the Tai Huangqian, Dau Fu. Even the spirits of the 5 elements were blocked, let alone him. This is a miserable. When Fang Han looked at it, he knew it was bad. This is the biggest catastrophe in my life. Fang Han, you can't run, unless you can support half an hour, the strength of Yu Fu will dissipate. At that time, it is not very difficult for you to go out. Unfortunately, now you can't support half an hour. Yours the magic weapon, called 8 Buddhism, was taken from the dragon star. You actually merged it with the spirits of the 5 elements, and opened up space inside, even the King of Blood Knight and the blood inside. The fusion of Buddhas into a magic weapon that is neither a treasure nor a Tao. Although its power is very powerful, it is always a piece of stuff. Unless you cultivate into the longevity, you can finally merge together. Now, it is a million no. Smoke Water 1 once again restored its strength, the natural disaster gods condensed, the array rotation, the cold and fierce suppression. And the Van Hoff shadow still has no sound, but a blue silk flies up, and a blue phosgene burst out on the roots of the blue silk, and then condenses into a heart-like thunderball, which seems to be a heart thunder. The heart of the general thunderball, squatting, is really a living heart. Heart Leijing Fa. Fang Han looked at it and was shocked. He knows very well about the Leifa between heaven and earth, because he discussed the isle with Fang Qingxue. The most ferocious thunder between heaven and earth, there are empty gods and thunders, great chaotic Leifa, and heart thunder and righteousness. Neverness and thunder is the strongest of the longevity secrets. When tearing the gates of the fairyland, the gods and minds that landed in the fairy world came from the void, without a trace. Under the earthquake, the masters such as Feng Baiyu to death, and the great chaos Leifa, is the ancient method used by the ancient Protoss to open up the heavens and the earth in the void space, and the heart and the righteous method is one of the fairy tales and the supernatural powers. Move with your heart, bursting on all sides, endless life, once trapped by the heart thunder, it is difficult to get out of it. Boom! The dense heart trapped Fang Han in the center. Then they exploded together, and all the frying squares around the body were crushed. The Jindan had a fissure on the top. Hey, Fang Han almost spurted out of blood. There is no way, the birthday gift to the exquisite fairy must be exploded. Only the explosion of Jindan, I will be able to get a chance. But I have to wait for half an hour. Wait for the power of the Yufu to dissipate. Only then can I explode Jindan and get out. In Fang Han's heart, he was secretly worried, and several poisons in his heart were running. You are looking for death. Don't force me to fire, Lousy will go out and die with you. Do you really think that I dare not blue Jindan? 9 kinds of magical Jindan, which also contains the 5 Emperor's demon, how terrible, you should know. In Fang Han's heart, he runs a poison meter and yells at the side. Sure enough, this one. Yang Shui, Fan Qingying all paused. If Fang Han's Jindan blew himself up, they would be so powerful that they would never be able to recover. How powerful is the power of the 9 golden dragons? I am afraid that the Vanguard giant, who is more than a long-lived secret, blew himself up. Before Fang Han's death, they can completely pull them down. Hey! I have the asterisk of the sea, in the moment you blew himself. I can enter the pearl of the sea. Most of you will blow the pearl of the sea, and I will go back and refine it. The smoke floated out. Others are afraid that Jin Dan will blow himself up, and those who possess the Tao can be afraid of it. Just as she said that she was not afraid, the change was sudden. Hey! A powerful force of oppression came from the outside, and suddenly it began to be chaotic, and the big burst broke. Fang Han could even see the collapse of the flesh-colored column and the root. Yu Fu actually was shocked. What is this power? The long-lived mysterious giant? You actually intercepted and killed people who gave me a birthday gift. Tai Huangtian also counted a junior. It is too much. A voice that comes in. Ling Yu Xianzuan. The smoke and water were all shocked, as if the mouse saw the cat. In the stunned eyes of Smoke One, in the distant void, it was torn by invisible power, and a beautiful boy came out of it. This beautiful boy, dressed in a brocade suit, is obviously a woman who disguised as a man, but naturally has a charm. The beautiful and beautiful, the Yushu is in the wind, the air is free, and the world is coming and going. When the beautiful young man dressed as a man dressed out came out, he looked at Fang Han and smiled at him. This is the name of Zhentian Wanjie, the fairy demon too exquisite Xianzuan. Even the Tai door cannot help, open the school, stand in the invincible Linglong Xianzuan. Fang Han almost do not believe in himself. The eyes, the beautiful teenagers who came in the distance, the men who dressed up as men, are the masters of a large martial art. This is too much for the singularity of my own imagination. In his imagination, this one should teach the fairy goddess, should sit high in the clouds, and sway the sentient beings. However, in front of this woman dressed as a man and a beautiful boy, broke the Yu Fu, Lingbo Wan Xian *** sword array. If it is not this Xianzuan, where is there such a big force between the gestures? Don't be afraid. She is just an incarnation, the true body of the exquisite fairy, and the guest of Zuma who is deep in the sky outside the sky. She can't come back. Just now, her incarnation has broken the Yufu, which consumes a lot of power. Don't be afraid of her. Yang Shui immediately saw the clues. It seems that when it came out, it was pointed out. After the shock, calmed down, the natural disaster gods suddenly suppressed the past, and even turned to the incarnation of Linglong Xianzuan. The natural disaster god, incarnate as a boundless robbery cloud which conveys the volcanic eruption, the sound of the large floor block moving, can hurt the master of the longevity secret, the end of the natural disaster, to one of the supreme magic, to the 12 golden masters can join hands exhibit, countless days of the demon king voluntarily useless, showing its power. Vatican Qingying also flashed, and the chaos of the chaos appeared on the tip of the sword. On her hair, she once again broke out the heart of righteousness, trapping Fang Han, and flying behind her head. When it came out, it was turned into a powerful world law, and the ghosts were generally wrapped around Fang Han, and he was not allowed to escape. At the beginning of this woman, she actually retained her strength. Her strength is still above the square. With full exertion, Fang Han has to show his best in his body. Smoke One, you are just a glimpse of the *** of water, even if you are a real ancient water god, but it is equivalent to the power of the 7/8 of the longevity, still not my opponent, although I am an incarnation, but it is not you can compete. This beautiful young boy who incarnates the immortal fairy statue, sees the natural disaster god, oppressed, the body's void suddenly flashes, the gap of the space is born, the incomparable violent time and space storm flashes, the power of the natural disaster, from her it's rolling around, but in any case, it doesn't hurt her body. At this time, this beautiful woman who disguised as a man is like a statue that stands between the heavens and the earth. It has been shocked for hundreds of millions of years, and it has never been moved, and it will never die. Exquisite Da Luo Qian. The smoke and water are all shaken, the Bohai Sea pearl rotates, and the Lingbo Wanqian ** sword array suppresses her in the past. At the same time, the Bohai pearl of the pearl is sprayed with tens of millions of water flows, turning the heavens and the earth into the world of water, the change of the sea, the accumulation of water, the endless, the river. The exquisite. You and I are too many disciples. I don't believe that you can overcome the power of the incarnation and the strength of the sea. God beads. Tai Huangtian Lai, but I can't help you, your pearl of rice also shines Hua. Linglong Xianzuan's incarnation, the face suddenly became majestic, Genie Huafu hunting, No movements, the body space automatically changed, like a huge chessboard, still exquisite Da Luotian magical power, those water flow all of them have been infiltrated into the gaps in space. She walked step by step, and no power could stop her. Water ***** is coming. Seeing that the matter was urgent, the smoke suddenly bit the tip of the tongue, and a stream of blood was sprayed on the pearl of the sea. The pearl of the sea expanded 10 times. Between the heavens and the earth, the infinite water power swarmed, even the fang and the water in the body is full of anger. To break through, it was spurred by the sea ***** beads. The water of this smoke is a different kind of blood. It contains the life of a scorpion and the strength of the sorrow. This is a self-harming ****. It is impossible for the cold to deal with it. Because it is not worth it, but the exquisite fairy different. Although it is an incarnation, it is not allowed. Throughout the hurricane of the 9 days, the water was forced to gather together, and there was a huge airborne ocean. Then there was a water ***** in the ocean. The blue color of the whole body, holding a chi-shaped ancient shovel, the first half it is a person, the lower body is a snake, the long hair, all of them are blue colors, tall and beautiful, and among the clouds, they open their eyes. This is actually the shape of the ancient water god. The shape of Taiku water god is agglomerated and formed, and the pressure is increased by 10 times. Fang Han's efforts to run the 5 emperors and great devils have stabilized the surging of the water. This is not the quality of the water emperor, but he is relatively weak and the realm is relatively low. No matter how powerful he is always the realm of Jin Dan. What is Da Luo? Everything in time and space, eternal freedom, is for Da Luo. What is Jin Xian? Gold is immortal, never robbing. The water ***** is condensed, the pressure is soaring, the airborne ocean appears, and the embodiment of Ling Long Shenzhuan is not afraid. When strolling forward, no matter how ferocious minds and the rushing power of water, it seems to have no effect on her. It seems that she is in another parallel space. When she wandered, wherever she went, where the water wave dissipated, in an instant, the space was infinitely concentrated under her feet, the world narrowed in front of her, and the whole time and space were mastered by her, and the whole world was changed by her. She is the master of time and space. Even above the sky, there is a mysterious origin. Among the origins, a gate appears faintly. It seems that the door is opened and you can enter the fairy world. Oh! The door suddenly shook a little and the infinite celestial spirit inside it collapsed and fell directly on the top of the water god. The tall and beautiful water god was beaten to collapse. The water god, which has been condensed with smoke and water for nearly 60 years, has been directly defeated. How powerful is this exquisite fairy? Unbelievable! The smoke and water rushed back. It is going to be looted, but it is late. Ling Long Shenzhuan pointed one finger, and around the smoke, there was another huge chessboard. The texture of the chessboard was a crack in time and space, wrapping her in the air. Puff! All the water power was almost shaken, and the smoke once again spurted a blood. Dispersed? Ling Long Shenzhuan once again pointed his hand, and suddenly the C**** bead was wrapped in a chessboard, the power of time and space cutting, the group of the *** beads hit, the water inside was stirred, and it was greatly damaged. Laugh! Vatican Qingying sees the situation is not good, give up Fang Han, a sword hit, everywhere chaotic Leifa, fried to Ling Long Shenzhuan, power is much larger than the attack Fang Han, and even the exquisite Da Luo Tian Shentong condensed into the chessboard swayed violently. Chaotic Leifa, you still only produce a layer of power, can't open up time and space, can't make everything into chaos. I will teach you 2 tricks, let you know what is called real chaotic Leifa. Ling Long Shenzhuan is another finger. Suddenly, 100,000 chaotic thunderballs flew out in the crack of the void, and the vanguard of the Van Hoch was directly blown, and the blind woman's Leifa was directly broken and bombarded on her body. Vatican Qingying has a glimpse of the body, a sword in the palm of the hand waving, wrapped himself in it, but there is no use, directly blown up, people fly backwards, blind eyes, flowing blood. Exquisite Da Luo, eternal suppression. After Ling Long Xianzuan defeated the Van Ho shadow, the backhand was directly pressed, and the smoke was directly pressed under the hurricane of 9 days. And the C*** beads have been caught. Broken. Lingbo Wanxian array was also smashed by Ling Long Xianzuan, tens of thousands of swords, flying everywhere. The mouth of the road was and soft, and the sword was also smashed out. The woman in a green dress was flustered. Good opportunity. Fang Han finally got out of trouble, his hand rushed, and the 8 floaters flew out and directly suppressed. The big Buddha inside opened the big hand, and took the flying sword in his hand and kept beating. The madness loses life. When the smoked water saw this scene, between the moments, it swallowed the next remedy, and the mana surged. Bohai Shenshu was once again spurred and expanded to the limit. Suddenly it exploded and turned into thousands of water and gas. Every symbol was like a dragon and snake, and all of it was in the body. Heaven and earth. At this point, she did not hesitate to leave. Ling Long Xianzuan's hand is lifted again, a strong force, bombardment in the void, collapse. The woman was shocked out of life, and she squirted of blood, and it was in the water cloud. The speed was increased by 1,000 times, and she was even bloody. The Vatican Qingying also had several ups and downs, and it was faster than the smoke. For a time, all the murderous annihilation disappeared, and the water cloud was swept away by the hurricane. There was only one sword array left, and tens of thousands of flying swords flew in the air. When the smoke and water left, there was no time to take away the Lingbo Wanxian array. Now, these tens of thousands of flying swords and maps will also fly away automatically, but where will it be? Ling Long Xianzuan waved a hand, and the board of the exquisite Da Luoqian shrouded it, trapping all the flying swords and the maps, and it circulated. It became a picture, and those flying swords were all on the picture. Even in the blink of an eye, it was refining. Ling Long Xianzuan, Xianfu Yungxiong, Shou and Tianqi, 1,000 generations, and immortal. Fang Han saw that Ling Long Xianzuan shot and defeated the 2 masters, destroying the general, the heart shocked to the extreme, fixed the gods, and quickly went to the front to pay homage, big flattering. No need for many gifts, this is not my true body. My true body, in the depths of the tens of billions of miles away from the starry sky, Zuma teaches guests, I feel that you are dangerous to give me gifts, so I pulled out a hair, give me 1,000 years of cultivation, and shuttle through time and space. You see my body now, it is my hair, the millennium repair has been used up, it will become the original shape. Ling Long Xianzhuang swings his hand, his body is blurred, the whole person is thin, and there is a long hair in the middle. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.